Introducing the Open Palm Podcast with host Jerome Shaw, available today on your favorite podcast platforms. The Open Palm Podcast is a positive, uplifting, motivational, and inspirational podcast. The host brings his insight and philosophy, and you can't help but gravitate towards his smile, his words, and his wisdom. Again, the podcast he hosts is titled The Open Palm Podcast. It's about inspirational messages, motivating themes, and thought-provoking ideas and topics. He'll also help you become more aware and in harmony with your own life, giving you a better understanding of your place in the world and using your skills accordingly, greeting the world with an open palm instead of a closed fist. You can find the show today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. You can also connect with the host on Instagram at JRomeShaw. That's JROMESHAW on Instagram. Jerome Shaw with the Open Palm Podcast. Motivation, meditation, mentality. Go listen, download, and subscribe today.
There's a quote by Dr. Henry Link. This quote says, "We generate fears while we sit. We overcome them by action." We generate fears while we sit, but we overcome those fears by action. You know, I'm sure you've heard that action cures fear. Whatever fears that you might have in life, chances are taking action can cure that fear. Fear, which often stands for the false evidence appearing real. Failure expected and received. Either we can forget everything and run or face everything and rise. Taking action, facing those fears. For courage and bravery, they are not without fear. There is no courage without fear, right? It's not the absence of fear. It's moving forward, taking action in spite of your fear. So, action can cure the fears that you might be having today, especially at the time of this recording when times are very interesting, very uncertain. We don't know what lies ahead. We don't know what kind of future we're going into for the coming year. But if we can take action, we can quite possibly set ourselves up for a victory. You don't have to be a victim. You can be victorious. The test that you go through today can be a testimony tomorrow for someone who needs to hear it. Your mess can be a message. Let it be a message to you right now that your future self is looking back on you and they are either cursing your decisions and actions and choices of today, or they are praising you. Is your future self smiling because you went out on a limb and you took action and you cured your fear? Is your future self clapping, applauding you for the actions of your today? That is the question I have for you, my friend. And always remember this quote from Dr. Henry Link. We generate fears while we sit. When we are inactive, when we're doing nothing, fears come automatically. We don't have to try to be fearful. Certain things happen just by default. But when we push past our indecision and ambivalence, when we take action, we can overcome all those fears. Thank you for listening, my friend. This has been Jerome Shaw on TOP, the Open Palm Podcast here in San Antonio, Texas. I pray you received an encouraging message letting you know sometimes the best cure for your fear is to just start moving, start taking action. Not sitting idle, which many have called the devil's workshop, sitting idle, but overcoming your situation through action. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if this is your first time receiving this podcast, definitely subscribe for more inspirational messages. And if you feel compelled to support, consider opening your browser to anchor.fm/jshaw. Clicking that support button there is much appreciated, Big shout out and thank you to all the wonderful supporters who continue to donate to the podcast, making it possible for episodes like this. And as always, have a wonderful and blessed day or night wherever you are. Take care, my friend.